Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile 1 discussion. Welcome to day 7 of Teaser season for patch 3.27 and the upcoming Keepers of the Flame expansion. Today we have a couple of minor announcements, including some updates to an announcement that was made yesterday. Let's start with those, and that is that there have been some slight changes to the way the information is presented when you use the shift and click option when opening stack decks using the new system that's been introduced. This is just intended to make things a little bit easier to read. It's a functionality we discussed yesterday. It's a new presentation of the same information. And ultimately, while this is cool, I think the other way, disgorging them onto the ground, is going to be what most people are going to do. Another thing to note here is that no divination cards that are here are suspicious in any way. It's not like we've got massive numbers of any individual card, or anything that hints at underlying changes of the way divination cards or stack decks work. And at the same time, too few stack decks were opened to really draw any conclusions about anything that might be missing. No new divination cards have been shown. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to carry an arachnophobia warning. So for those of you that don't love adorable little spiders, maybe jump ahead a little while. But now I've gotten rid of all of the people who don't appreciate our eight-legged friends, we are going to be talking about the Twitch drops that are going to be available. Because the league is starting on Halloween, Granny Gear Games have decided, oh, let's go with a spooky theme. And for the live stream Twitch drops, they're going to be providing a spider pet, the Highborn Crawler. Now, my perpetual complaint when it comes to these things, a lot of the pets Granny Gear Games provide as one-off freebies are really, really cool. The problem is that there's an asymmetry to using them because you can only ever get one of these things. This also applies to pets that are part of a supporter pack. You only end up with one of them, and then you end up not really wanting it because you probably want a left side copy and a right side copy of the same pet. There's definitely exceptions to that, but ultimately I would use these pets a lot more if you are able to get a mirrored copy of them somehow. I do, however, have the Blender map device, and a lot of these one-off pets end up getting placed next to that. So whenever I open a map with it, they just get drawn into the Blender over and over again, and then they keep getting respawned. So yeah, that's my real complaint with this. Anyways, if you're interested in getting one of these spiders, you'll need to tune in for the live stream. The Path of Exile official website has a countdown to when the Granny Gear Games live event is on, and if you watch that for 45 minutes, then you'll receive one of these pets, assuming you meet all the terms and conditions that are listed in this post. They're not particularly onerous, it's mostly some adminis trivia you need to do in order to make sure that Path of Exile and Twitch recognize that it's the same person behind both accounts. Now you can watch the official Granny Gear Games live channel for that, or you can watch any restream that is in the appropriate channel, such as mine. I will be restreaming my initial thoughts on this announcement when it goes live. All those details are in this thread, so link down in the description below. On top of that, there is one more piece of information today, and that is a traditional teaser about a quality of life thing. Now, Granny Gear Games have been hiding stuff in these all week. I'm not aware of anything that's hidden in this one. This is the second biggest improvement to Identify Scroll quality of life that the game has ever made. The biggest Identify Scroll improvement was 3.16 when they were made to stack as drops in maps. However, this time what's happening is that if you're in your hideout, you will not need to consume Identify Scrolls in order to identify items. Additionally, there will be a vendor in each specific town that's going to do the same thing. Now you can still actually use an Identify Scroll the way you used to. That will still eat up an ID scroll, but if you speak to Helena, who'll be the NPC in your hideout, or if you speak to one of the ones during the acts, they'll have the option to mass identify everything in your inventory without using ID scrolls. And what's the consequences of this going to be? You will not need to stop to pick up Identify Scrolls as often. You'll be able to take them off your loot filters sooner. The other thing that's going to be of note is there's a couple of obscure times that you're not going to want to identify items. The first one of these is in Act 1, but we've been told that you don't get access to this new vendor system until quite late in Act 1. The reason you might not want to identify items early is that when you vendor a rare item that is unidentified, you receive 5 transmutation shards. Late in the game, that's completely useless, but early in the game, you can be very short on transmutation orbs, especially because a lot of gems are purchased with them early on. So that is a situation where you might not want to identify items, but I don't think you get access to this bulk identification until after you're past that progression point. The second phase in which you might not want to identify items is if you use some of the esoteric vendor recipes, most notably the Chaos recipe, that require items to be vended unidentified. Most of the time, I don't recommend using these anymore. The relics of a slower paced period of the game. There are some corner case situations, most notably if you build a character that is really underperforming your expectations, but you're able to get them through to Act 9. If you get them through to Act 9, you gain access to the Chaos recipe, but you're feeling really, really, really weak at that point. You want to change the character somehow, you want to trade for gear to get you out of an immediate problem. In that situation, yeah, sure, use the Chaos recipe. But if your character is functioning, don't use the Chaos recipe. Ultimately, the biggest reason that I don't recommend the Chaos recipe anymore is because time spent doing the Chaos recipe, time spent fiddling around with inventory management and the like for it, is time that you are not unlocking your Atlas. Unlocking your Atlas is a huge force multiplier to the amount of currency that you're going to loot. And on top of that, as you get up in tiers, you'll start getting new things like Searing Exarch Embers, Eater of Worlds Icors, more and better Scarabs. All of these things are going to help you much more in terms of getting some early currency than a few raw Chaos Orbs would. So yeah, I don't recommend doing this outside a couple of weird situations, and the main one of those is a scuff build that gets to Act 9 or 10. The big time though that you don't want to use this is the times that you get unique items that have specific value when they are unidentified. A good example of this, and probably the pinnacle one, is Watcher's Eye. However, as well as Watcher's Eye, you've got things like Sublime Vision, you've got things like Forbidden Jewels, there's a whole bunch of things along these lines, hyper RNG items. You can sell those items unidentified, or you can sell them identified. It's up to you, but the act of applying an identify scroll to one of them, or in the case of Helena, not applying an identify scroll, is a big, big gamble. And ultimately, it's one you only want to take willingly, not one that you want to misclick on. So just be aware of that. Maybe throw that unidentified Watcher's Eye straight in your stash, or maybe even list it on asynchronous trade in 327, because we've got some pretty strong evidence that's coming, and do that instead of accidentally talking to Helena and then cursing yourself because you ended up getting a dumpster Watcher's Eye again. So that is the update from Grinding Gear Games. I did, however, want to give a little bit of a thank you to people that have subscribed to this channel over the years. It's fairly flattering to think that this number is probably going to tick over to 54,000 today. Now, for those of you that are not subscribed, it's up to you. It's roughly a 200% more multiplier in my experience to how frequently you will see my videos show up in your feed. This, of course, has a drawback. It's going to crowd out some of the other good videos you might see there instead. So if you want less videos of cute kittens and more videos of me talking about Path of Exile in your feed, then subscribe. And if you'd rather have the cute kitten videos instead, then don't subscribe. See if I care. Finally, I did a substantial video recently which was talking about things I wish I'd known earlier in Path of Exile 1, which is not just things I wished I'd known earlier, but things other people had wished they'd known earlier as well. And there's a link up to that on the screen at the moment. Click it if you want, and if you don't, that's cool too. That's enough for today's video. I'm going to leave it there. May your Varlorbs have interesting results, or at very least, the results you deserve.